in the last few minutes. Nuno Espirito Santo has been sacked at Tottenham Hotspur. We are getting a reaction to this all the while this morning on this show. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan and Danny Murphy. If you want to give us a call, then do. We're lining up as many of you to come on because we want to hear from Tottenham fans this morning. Where does it lie? Where does the buck stop? Does it stop with Daniel Levy, the man at the top? Does it stop with this guy, Fabio Paratici, the managing director, the guy who is effectively the director of football? Where does the buck stop? When are Tottenham going to stop this trend of getting somebody in, then they get rid of him? 08717 223344. We mentioned this man Paratici. We'll get more from Danny and Simon in a second. This was Paratici, the Spurs managing director of football, speaking on Spurs TV at the start of October, so literally just a few weeks ago, when he was calling for togetherness from everyone at the club.
The big picture that is most important, this club has to be like a family. When you speak about club, you speak about this club is like a family. If you are a family, you need the support to everybody. If you want to achieve some result, you need players, coach, club, fans to be positive, to serve to be positive. And every moment that maybe also is, I know that is more difficult when you lose one game or two games, but you have to believe. You have to believe and to be positive, because this feeling is transmitted to everybody.
So that was Paratici. I mean, he says it's like a family, Danny. The family's fractured this morning. I mean, how much credibility does he have after all of this? 17 games and Nuno's gone.
Well, Simon's right for pointing the finger in the direction of Paratici, and but they are. But Daniel Levy as well is massively responsible because he gave him the job.
He's culpable, yeah, of course.
You know, they're both involved in this. I also think it's worth saying, you know, I've watched Tottenham a lot recently, and Nuno, who's a likeable guy and did do a good job at Wolves, he has to take some responsibility, because it wouldn't be that unrealistic to think when you're sitting down having a conversation about bringing him in that he's able to adapt his style a little bit and actually work with some of the terrific players Tottenham have got. Tactically, the last few weeks, they have been all over the place. He's caught between a rock and a hard place. He's playing 4 attacking-minded players yesterday against Man United, and not going after United. He's playing more defensive. It's bizarre, some of his decisions, taking Moura off when he was probably arguably the best player on the pitch for Tottenham. That was a bizarre one. That got the fans turned straight away. And I could go on and on about the games and the tactics. I mean, early in the game, United vulnerable, lacking in confidence, didn't see any long balls down the sides, in behind the fullbacks for pace, for them. No width from Moura and Son. Super pace, play some long balls, get some seconds, go down behind the wing backs, get them running in the channels against Maguire and Lindelof, cause them some problems. They're nervy, nothing. Passing round the back, thinking they're Man City. That's the manager. Now, you could argue the players have to take some responsibility. Yes, they do, and that will come to them later. But the manager, I can't set up a team so poorly in the last few weeks and expect to still be in a job.
So is that why it turns so toxic, as it did? Is that why the fans showed that they're not having this for 1 second longer?
Losing games sometimes is acceptable. It's how you lose them that's unacceptable. And how they've been losing games has been unacceptable. The only game really, actually, funnily enough, they really went on the front foot to try and go after a team was Arsenal, and they got spanked. And then he was like, oh, do I go back to what I know? He should have really gone in the door and been unapologetic and done what he does. The problem is he's a pragmatic coach, but they keep conceding goals. So the Tottenham fans are looking, going, well, he's neither in or there. His team is not a reflection of how he wants to play, because he's wanting to try and please the fans, and he's caught in between. So it was always going to end badly.
Simon, I mean, I have to say, the lining up for Levy, the Tottenham fans getting in touch with us this morning, 81089. This is just a flavour of it. Ryan, a big Tottenham fan. Daniel Levy has been at Spurs for 21 years. He's overseen 15 different managers, and he's only seen the club win the League Cup, one League Cup. How is he still in a job? Asked Ryan. Pete Slevin. This all started when Levy pulled the trigger on Josie 6 days before a League Cup final with no plan B. I remember, Simon, to be fair to you, you said that at the time when Danny and I were in that morning when Mourinho got sacked amidst all the fallout from the Super League. Pete Slevin is saying, we could have won a trophy on that occasion and then pushed on from there. How do they get it wrong so often?
Let's just put some reality on this, Simon. Sorry. If for 3 years under Pochettino, probably 4, but for 3... They were competitive near the top of the league. They got to the Champions League final. They were in the Champions League. They were playing entertaining, high pressure, athletic football, good energy, fans enjoying it. There wasn't this Levy's got it wrong.
Correct.
If anything, when Pochettino come in, he's not big enough name, he's not experienced
Correct.
enough.
Yeah.
He came in and he improved players, he improved the team, and he made them competitive. I think when they lost the Champions League final, it was going to go one of two ways, wasn't it? They were going to kick on, progress, and spend a load of money, which they didn't, or it was going to fall off a cliff, which is what happened. And he tried to resurrect it by bringing Mourinho, and that, as Simon said, that was never going to work. So now they're back to the jigsaw's all over the place, and they've got to try and put it back together. For some reason in the summer, they couldn't get someone in who they wanted. They ended up with Nuno, which, as we said before he got the job, wasn't the right appointment. And now they've gone back a few years.
I mean, they could and should have won things with Pochettino.
Yeah.
They got to semi-finals, they got to finals, and they didn't turn up in those games. So there does have to be some criticism. When you look at the number of managers that he's had in place, out of the 20 years that we're talking about, 21 years, 9 of those were with 2 managers, Harry Redknapp and Pochettino. And then you look at some of the other appointments that start to move into the territory of being very curious, because the AVB appointment, he was destroyed at Chelsea, so I don't know why Tottenham wanted to take him. You know, you look at Mourinho and say there was never going to be a fit in some of these managers. Wanda Ramos was a strange fit. But if you look at 50% of the time that's been spent there, were people kicking up rough about Daniel Levy when Harry was rebuilding the Tottenham side? Because I think Tottenham only got really serious as an elite football club around about 2004, 2005. I know they've got all the history and all the livery and they're a great football club with great heritage. But when it came to being a big player in the Premier League, I think they started around the middle of 2005, 2006. Martin Jol was building a decent side. Yeah. And Martin Jol was building a decent side. And then they kicked on with Harry. They got into the Champions League. And obviously Gareth Bale came and signed for them. So over that period of time, out of that 15 or 16 years, 9 of those years have been with 2 managers that took them to the precipice of success.
Yeah.
Now, is that Levy's fault that Pochettino couldn't close those deals? Couldn't close those semi-finals that would have given a different recognition to people saying you haven't won anything since 2008. So you now look at it and say, he brings in a director of football. I think that was an admission. Forget Damien Comolli and people like that. That was an admission that Tottenham Hotspur have got to evolve. Daniel Levy can't be front and centre. He's got to focus on what's happening with the financing of the stadium, focus on what's happening on the building of Tottenham Hotspur, bring in a director of football. And somehow, between him and a director of football, they've got it really wrong. They've got it wrong with Nuno Espirito Santo, because we spoke about it earlier on in the year. You gave me 5 managers to choose from, and I chose Nuno Espirito Santo as being a decent fit for Tottenham Hotspur out of the 5 managers that you gave me. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean he's a decent fit for Tottenham Hotspur in an ideal world, but Tottenham Hotspur in an ideal world, with the greatest will in the world, aren't going to get Antonio Conte. He's not going to come to Tottenham Hotspur. And you've got to fire your bullets. One last part of this question.
Yeah.
Daniel Levy doesn't write the checks out. Joe Lewis writes the checks out. So Joe Lewis is the financial capital behind Tottenham Hotspur. And if Joe Lewis doesn't have the desire to give Daniel Levy 250 million quid to match Chelsea, to match Manchester United, to match Man City, what exactly are they going to do?
Well, let me tell you, it might just be the case that Joe Lewis has been into the cupboard this morning in his bedroom and got the checkbook out. Because Fabrizio Romano, who of course is so well respected and well informed, the Italian journalist, he is now reporting Antonio Conte is ready to accept the Tottenham proposal. Talks are underway and understood to be, quotes, at the final stages. Salary and long-term contract discussed, but he seems convinced that he will say yes.
I'd be staggered by that, wouldn't you, Danny?
I would be. I would be
staggered,
but it's amazing what a pound note can do for people.
Yeah, so this was a guy who they were talking about before, and then, for whatever reason, presumably money, presumably demands, they didn't go with him and ended up with Spirito Santo.
Spent a lot of time with him at Juventus and has looked back into the relationship he's had previously with him and gone, I can get this Italian guy, I can get the language barrier across, I can get him, not the language barrier because he can speak English, but I can get into this guy and I can produce a different project. Now, there's going to have to be a change in Tottenham. If we are now moving into the territory that myself and Danny are going to be staggered in, that Conte would rather choose Tottenham Hotspur over the potential inevitable opening that's going to happen at Man United sooner rather than later, then I'm staggered.
Well, it might. Well, I'll tell you one thing for sure. He's a very competent manager. We've talked about him before. But
Conte?
Yes.
He's a phenomenal manager. 65% win record.
But if you're talking about, Jim, what did you say before? What Daniel Levy said, free-flowing football, was it?
Yeah.
You're not going to get that with him.
That's not what you're going to get with him. And our Tottenham, and there's no way for me...
Free-flowing, attacking, entertaining football.
That's not Conte.
Yeah, but Conte will win you a trophy.
But that's not what he said.
But he's a pragmatist. He went Chelsea back 5. Yes, he had wing backs,
and he stumbled upon that, by the way,
to a degree. But he still won the league with them,
yeah.
And he did it in a pragmatic way. So forget the free flowing football, but he would be a great appointment.
Well, it seems the war chest they couldn't find in the summer, they've suddenly found it. Because according to Fabrizio Romano, Conte now ready to accept the Tottenham proposal. Is he really on the way to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium? And Tottenham fans, do you want Conte at your club?
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Thursday morning, 10 till 1. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.